In part 2 of Freemasonry, we will cover the spiritual science of typology as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad regarding the temple of Suleiman or Solomon. I would like to turn your attention to 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1. It reads in the meaning, "And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Suleiman's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord." Typology is wherein the old scriptures manifest the fulfillment in the New Testament. Like the Old Testament may teach about Jonah in the well, which is a type of Jesus in his day and time. But in reality, the 24 scientists that wrote the Holy Quran or Bible, who is not a mystery God, they wrote what they wrote with a niyat or an intention to guide not Israel, but the nation of Islam, who is the prototype or the fulfillment of the archetypes of the ancient teachings of King Solomon, and specifically the fulfillment of Hiram Abiff, the widow's son. So, when we read in the Bible that it came to pass in the 480th year in chapter 6 of 1 Kings, verse 1, we look at that in context to Sir John Hawkins and his cousin Sir Francis Drake in kidnapping the original black people from Africa and bringing them to the wilderness of North America in April the 1st of 1555, so-called April Fool's Day. From 1555 plus 480 years equals the year 2035. This is the year 2024. In 2035, you're not going to see a physical temple built. There will not be a physical temple built, but it will be a fulfillment or a typology of the temple. If you study the science of it, the fulfillment of the temple is given to us by Messenger Elijah Muhammad in Elijah Meets the Press back in 1972, wherein he explained to the world's press that after him, there will be no more temples. You may say, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is no longer here. Why do we see temples in masjids or mosques? These temples and these masjids or these mosques, though necessary and though beautiful, act in accord with the will of Allah, who is the best knower, not a mystery God, but a supreme Allah who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. But know that the messenger's message in this age of mess teaches us that the actual temple, he said in the Theology of Time in 1972, you will be a temple yourself. We will no longer look towards the east or the west, nor the north, nor the south for guidance, but we will look within and see the reality of God. We will see God in the mirror. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, quote, Allah, God, the God, is all of us. This is the fulfillment of all of the Masonic degrees, not just the 33 1/3 degrees, but the 360 degrees. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that if you want to understand real Islam, you have to take the lampshade off of the light. He teaches us that the Freemasons or Masons and Shriners, they put a shade on the light. He said, but the light of Islam is like the light of the sun. It's not a potential energy, is kinetical energy. The light of the sun is shining, is radiating, is manifesting. Our sun, the Holy Quran calls it in chapter 90 of the Holy Quran, Al-Shams. Al-Shams is in the Holy Quran and is given to us in a scientific way in our lessons or blessings by Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, who's not a master Mason, but a master 5%er, a poor righteous teacher who does not believe in the teachings of the 10% rich slave makers of the poor. Master Fard Muhammad taught freedom, justice, and equality, and taught us the knowledge, not just of him, not just the devil, but he taught us literally the knowledge of ourselves. He taught us that we must become, quote, And our Savior's arrived 1974. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad explained to us that we're supposed to become self-masters. He teaches us in 1972 in the Theology of Time that we must become self-believers. He taught us in 1965 in Message to the Black Man in America that we must answer our own prayers. We are the fulfillment of Hiram Abiff, the widow's son, who was hit aside his head and lost the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of himself, but was mentally resurrected from the grave. Hiram was not physically raised from the grave. Let me turn your attention to 1 Kings chapter 6, verse number 7. It reads, and I quote, "And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building." Think that over for a moment. Here is Solomon's temple. It says, and the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither. Meaning before these sacred stones was brought in the temple, they was prepared. They was prepared in the dirt. They was prepared in a quarry. What does this mean, black man and woman? It means that when you're building something, I don't care what type of structure it is. Say you're building Trump's Tower. Say you're building the Taj Mahal. Say you're building the Great Pyramids of Giza. Say you're building the 7 wonders of the world. The first thing that you must focus on is how strong is the foundation. Not how pure is that foundation, how clean is that foundation, but how strong is the foundation. Because if you build your house made of straw, it's going to easily be destroyed by the big bad wolf. If you built a house of sticks, it's going to be easily destroyed by that big bad wolf. But if you made your house of brick, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in Our Sayers Arrived in his last holy tomb in 1974 that our unity is more powerful than nuclear or atomic bombs, family. He teaches us that our unity is like the mortar that binds or cements brick to brick. So has Islam come to unite the so-called African Americans here in the wilderness of North, Central, and South America. But we do not have the knowledge of self. We have rejected the knowledge of self. We believe in everything except ourselves. So here we have a temple that the scripture says in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 7. I read it one more time. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. The Masons and Shriners understand this science. You're spooky. You don't get it. You think that it refers to some ancient teachings or some symbolic rituals and being blindfolded and walking and standing certain ways and putting up signs and symbols. No, it refers to al-haq, the reality. Chapter 22, verse 6 of the Holy Quran. It refers to the reality of God. What is that reality? What is it that they blindfold the Shriners with and show them the reality of God? What do they see when they take that blindfold off? They see a black baby. They see the black man. They see the real Son of Man. Not a God coming out of the sky, but each and every God that comes out of the essence of the universe from the black womb of space. The original man came out of the essence of the black primordial waters. The original man today comes out of what? The womb of the original black woman. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. All, not some, but all of the religions of the world are full of symbolism and technologies and rituals and languages, and people take the signs and the symbols as though they're the actual substance. What is the substance? The substance is every time you look at a black man, you're looking at God. Not just a black male adult, but every time you look at any black male, I wouldn't care if he was 1 day old or 100 years old or 1,000 years old, you're looking at God. If you see a black man in the ghetto, if you see a black man that graduated from college, if you see a black man that's homeless, if you see a black billionaire, you're looking at God. You may not know that, but the 10%, known as the 1%, the rich, the slave makers of the poor, they know for a fact that the black men are the gods. The black males are the gods. Always was the gods. Always will be the gods. They are the gods yesterday. They are the gods today. And they shall be the gods tomorrows. There is no mystery God. So when we read in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 7, the Masons, the Freemasons, the Shriners, when they say, and the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building. What is this saying? The historicity is when they went to Africa, when they went to Asia, when they studied the ancient black, brown, yellow, and red civilizations on the face of the planet Earth, they saw that the people of Kemet, Black Egypt, they had what? They had the pulley. They had what? They had a gear. They had an incline and a decline. What is these basic little simple machines? They are the base or the foundation for every car on the face of the planet Earth. There is no flying vehicles in the sky such as helicopters or airplanes or rockets going to other planets that do not depend upon the pulley. Do not depend upon the gear. Do not depend upon the incline and the decline. The Egyptians are the ones that made the foundation of the basic tools that gave the world, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, the ancient Americans, the precept of tools to build civilization. The original man is the Asiatic black man. He is the civilizer of the uncivilized. He taught the arts and sciences of the universe. Every time you hear about people planting corn or doing any kind of cultivation, that's a science. You can't make bread. It's 2024. Take and get your daughter, your aunt, your grandmother, get your father, your brother, your uncle, and gather them together and tell them, let me see you grow some wheat. Let me see you make a loaf of bread. Let me see you churn some butter. They can't do it. You be like, okay, I see you drinking wine. Let me see you take these grapes and make some wine. They can't do it. Let me see you take these potatoes and make some vodka, some Ciroc. They can't do it because it's a chemistry, not a chemistry with a C, but with a K. It's a chemistry. It's an ancient Kemetic black science taught by the gods, not no spooky nonsense like some aliens coming from another planet coming down on Earth, and these Anunnaki was some spooky aliens. No, the Anunnaki was nothing but human black gods and goddesses. Those gods and goddesses that had knowledge, wisdom, and understanding was considered gods. Their civilization was so advanced they lived upon different rivers on the face of the planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles. They studied the constellations of our universe, covering 238 quintillion 640,000 square miles. They lived upon the rivers. Therefore, they had the ability that they no longer had to worry about survival. They had food, clothing, and shelter. So they took their mindset to another dimension. They studied knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They showed and proved the potential power that existed in the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. And they manifested the arts and sciences of the universe. These were the black gods. So in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 7, and the house when it was in building was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. It refers to the so-called American Negro, the so-called colored people, the so-called African Americans, the so-called 85% mentally dead who worship that which they know not what. It is referring to you, my black brothers and black sisters. God in person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, is building a temple. He's taking and quarrying stones, meaning human beings, black men and black women from around the face of the planet Earth, people that were stuck in the mud. The most precious pearls is found stuck in the mud. They come from static. They come from friction. They come from grains of sand getting caught inside of mollusks and shells. And the best gold and the best diamonds are formed under intense pressure. You came through the trials and tribulation of hellfire. You came through the projects and slavery, suffering, and death. And you became a precious stone in the sight of God. And he took and used his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of universal mathematics to chisel you, to purify you, to plane you, to make sure that you was a perfect stone. And he's building a temple with you. Not that you're going to the temple, but you yourself are the temple. You yourself are the masjid. You yourself are the mosque. You yourself are the university. You yourself are the school. You yourself are the church. You yourself are the synagogue. You wrote the Holy Quran, or Bible. You are the God that you're looking for, but you're suffering from spiritual amnesia, looking for a mystery God. And right now you're just worshiping false gods, idol gods, listening to 10% rich slave makers of the poor that have no desire to wake you up to the knowledge of yourself. Their only desire is to put money in their pockets. They worship the white devil because they want you, the black god, to remain asleep as long as they could get a piece of fried chicken and a biscuit from Massa. They will be some happy house slaves. And this is the struggle. This temple is not being built as the scripture says in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 7. This temple is built without no tools. It says that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, the messenger's message in this age of mess, is making you yourself the temple of God. These Masons and Shriners with this 33rd and 1/3 degree is freezing you out at 32 degrees. Why? Because if you take and turn on the water in your sink, if you run a bath, if you turn on the shower, if you flush your toilet, that water, family, is moving at room temperature. It's vibrating. What is it? It's hydrogen and two atoms of oxygen being bonded as H2O. That oxygen is mathematically bonded to that hydrogen, wherein at room temperature it's a liquid. But if you take that water, family, and you slow down those atomic forces, the law of vibration, that water turns into what? An ice cube. You take a glass of water and you put it in your freezer just for 60 minutes. What happens after that cycle is complete? That liquid becomes solid. It becomes a solid block. It's the same water that was liquid. And if you took that solid block of ice, you took that ice cube and you put it in a pot and you turned on that heat, you put it under pressure, you put it under the heat, put it in the fire, what happens? That ice cube begins to melt. It turns back to a liquid. And if you take and keep that liquid on that fire at 212 degrees, family, that liquid turns into a steam. It turns into a gas. pass. It turns into a vapor. The seen becomes unseen. So the Holy Quran teaches us the true believers must believe in the seen and the unseen, not in the known and the unknown. We have to believe in that which is mathematics. Allah adds and multiplies. Satan divides and subtracts. There are protons or positive forces, and there are electrons or negative forces. We, the so-called African Americans in the wilderness of North America, is the fulfillment of the typology of that masjid or that temple that was built in secret. So you see these Shriners, you see these Masons, and they come out with these fezzes, and you look at that red fez and you wonder, why do they have a red fez? Why do the Nation of Islam flag is red in the background? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the flag of Islam originally, not the flag of Islam in 2024, the flag that we have today is not the original flag. The original flag, according to Master Fard Muhammad and his first, last, and only messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was all red, and it represented freedom. This is the flag in 1555 that Sir John Hawkins with his slave ship Jesus saw us flying over our nation. It was an all red flag. We are the original Moors. Yes, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Allah salute to the true and living God on the earth. We salute him and the Circle 7. We salute the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. We salute any black man and black woman anywhere on the face of the planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles, that tried to resurrect the mentally dead. But the scriptures teaches us that Hiram, Abiff, he could only be raised by the master. Only the master had the master grip. I'm telling you, that lion's paw just couldn't do it. That eagle's claw just could, the flesh just kept tearing. Everybody tried to mentally resurrect the so-called African American into the knowledge of self. But what happened? We ended up in organized religions. We wind up worshiping yet another mystery God. It's now December of 2024, and yet there is a new mystery God known as artificial intelligence, AI. Yes, this new mystery God, you cannot worship the created over the creator. You cannot exchange that which is made from that which is the creator. Who is and what is the original creator? The original creator is the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the very God of the universe. I don't care what cloud you go on, what type of cloud it may be. When you look up at that blue sky, blue, according to Allah, represents untrue. The human eye cannot discern that true blue. You look at that blue sky, you go up there in a helicopter, you go up there in a jet, in an airplane, you never reach that blue. Because blue represents the untrue according to the Theology of Time, 1972, by Messenger Elijah Muhammad. You look at the beautiful blue ocean, and you take your clear crystal glass, and you go to that blue ocean, and you dip it in there, and you lift it up to the light of the sun. You don't get no blue water, but you look at that blue water, and you dump that water back inside that blue ocean, and you scoop up another scoop of that water. It still didn't come up blue. Why can't you capture that blue? Because blue represent untrue, and that's the blue background that America has on the flag of Islam and the flag of America. The flag of America is really the flag of Islam, but it has white stripes, it had white stars, it has a blue background because one of our black gods, known as the Professor, he's the one that taught America's founding fathers the knowledge of self. He's the one that taught them the science of how to eat to live. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that this professor, he was so wise and civilized that he would not even eat the meats or the fruits that the founding fathers offered to him. And they was confused. They's like, what do this man eat? He's always fasting. And he took them outside one day and he showed them a tree. And he showed them a fruit tree. And he said, you see this fruit? You see how the fruit is connected to the tree by the stem? So it is with the fruit of God. So it is with the fruit of life. So it is with the tree of life. Notice that every baby is connected to that mother by the umbilical cord. Every piece of fruit is connected to the mother or to the plant or to the tree by the stem. That stem is the umbilical cord. So once you pull that piece of fruit from that stem and disconnect that fruit from that tree, it then becomes a living soul. And when you eat to live, you eat the way that Allah and His Messenger taught us to eat. Now you're eating like the gods. The Bible teaches us in the book of Psalms in the Old Testament that in the last times, the last day and times, humanity will eat angels' food. Not just physical food, but spiritual food. The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of yourself will become crystal clear to you. So you are that stone that was built without tools, family. You are the new world, the hereafter, the future. You are the heavenly temple and palace that God will build. You, not a physical structure, but a spiritual structure. You will be mentally resurrected from the dead. This is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the life-giving teachings of the first, last, and only messenger of Allah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The legend of Hiram Abiff, the widow's son, as is commonly known, is an allegory according to the Freemasons and Shriners. It originates from ancient Kemet or Black Egypt, from the Masonic rituals, and is steeped in symbolism and moral lessons. Because when the Europeans seen the original black man building in stone, he saw that we had not what they call a valley of the kings, but we literally had the valley of the gods. He understood that Usar or Osiris represented the black man god, and that Osset, Isis, represented the black woman goddess, and that Heru or Horus represented the black godling or child, symbolized by the sun man and the earth or moon woman and the stars representing our children. This was the original black nation, the nation of the gods and goddesses and godlings. Yes, there is no mystery God. There is nothing in creation greater than the Creator. So in order to properly understand who or what is the Creator, we must study creation. And when we study creation, whether we dive in the oceans and we take and look at the 57,255,000 square miles of the land, whether we go up Mount Everest at 29,141 feet high, or we go into the deepest valley of Syria, or we go to the Nimbus cloud, the Cirrus cloud, the Cumulus cloud, the Stratus cloud, we look on top of cloud number 9, cloud number 26,000, we will never find a mystery God. There is no mystery God on the moon. There is no mystery God on Mars. There is no God superior than the black nation in the hereafter. There is no mystery God greater than black people on some distant planet, whether you turn towards Pluto or you turn towards the Milky Way galaxy, or you look at every square atom of our universe covering 230 quintillion 640 quadrillion miles. You will never find a mystery God. If you take every single one of these atoms, if you take the base primal hydrogen atom and you crack it open, you do not find a mystery God inside the hydrogen atom. When you crack open that hydrogen atom, you find baby atoms of hydrogen. You crack open those baby atoms of hydrogen, you find more baby, and you keep cracking them over. You keep splitting those atoms, and you go all the way down to the root, to the very original first cause, the law of causation. What do you find? You find nothing but pure baby atoms, the unseen, vibrating as pure energy. This is known as dark matter. This is the science of quantum physics. The black man's mind is infinite, capable of accomplishing anything that the brain can conceive. And from the black man's mind sparked the black carbon atom, which is the base or the foundation for every form of life in our universe, every form of life in our solar system, every form of life in the ocean, on the land, or every bird flying on the continent and over the atmosphere, troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, or exosphere. No matter where you go in our universe, you will never find any form of life that supersedes holy intellect, that supersedes the mind of the original man. The only thing greater than man is another man. There are many women way smarter and more intelligent than some brothers and sisters in the struggle. However, the original is the original black man. He is, in fact, as the law revealed, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the very God of the universe. The story of Hiram Abiff is found in the Bible. Open your Bible to 1 Kings, chapter number 7. Let's read this. It teaches us in verse number 13, and King Suleiman, who's renamed as Solomon, and King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Suleiman or Solomon and wrought all his work. And the scriptures teaches us in the same verse that this Solomon is a human being. This king Hiram out of Tyre is a human being. He's a widow's son, meaning he's the product of a black woman. He came out of the womb of the original woman. She is the earth. She is not the partner, but she is the womb of man. She is the feminine principle of the original black man. The law of genders in all things, as our ancestors taught us. Everything has a masculine and a feminine principle. When you look up at the sky, you notice that we have what? We have the womb of space. And this womb of space is manifested by what? Is manifested by the mind of Father God, the original man, the black man of Asia. There is no mystery God, never was and never shall be. The story of Hiram Abiff, as he's known, in 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 13. In Masonic traditions, they teach this as 33 1/3 degrees. They portray him as being the chief architect of the temple, entrusted with the secrets of the master mason. This master is the same supreme law God that we declare unto the world is Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever. He is the Maliki Yam Madin. He is the God of the judgment. He is the master of all master, the King of kings, the Lord of lords. There is no mystery God. There is no teacher that ever came to teach that the black man is God on the level that he revealed it. No one taught you about the 24 scientists. No one taught you about Dr. Yaqub Malik Shabazz. No one taught you about heaven and hell on the face of the planet Earth. No one gave you the actual birthday of the devil's destruction on the face of the planet Earth. The God Yaqub that made them and where on the island of Pelan. No one taught you that the scriptures, the Holy Quran, the Bible is made by the original people. No one taught you the distance of the sun from the earth. No one taught you the age of the sun being 78 trillion years old. The stars are 72 trillion years old. The moon is 66 trillion years old. How it was made. No one taught you about the civilizations of Mars and how Mars used to be a moon for the earth 72 trillion years ago. No one taught you that we looked for that mystery God and we was unable to find the mystery God. So the original man declared himself to be the God. And he has shown and proven that there is no God but Allah, the black man of Asia. Right here on the face of the planet Earth, modern Asia is only 16 million square miles. We're not telling you some elementary stuff. We're not taking you back to Africa. We're telling you that Africa represents the entire planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles. The land covering 57,255,000 square miles, and the water covering 139,685,000 square miles. If you add it together, because God adds and multiplies, 57,255,000 square miles plus 139,685,000 square miles equals a total of 196,940,000 square miles. The black man is the God of it all. He's the God of every molecule of water in the ocean, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Arctic, the Antarctic, every continent, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Australia, and Europe. The black man is the founder of it all. The black man is the founder of every form of life on the face of the planet Earth. Out of the black woman came the brown, the yellow, the red, and the white civilization. Even the albino babies born on the face of the planet Earth are all from the original woman. Even those that have dual sexuality, known as hermaphrodites, that's born each and every day on this planet, are born from the black woman. All of that comes from the mother of civilization. She is the earth. She is the goddess of all goddesses. There was no woman before the original black woman. We don't just say that black is beautiful. We say that black is the base from which all colors derive from. Every color in the universe. I don't care what color of the rainbow you take. You could take red and yellow and pink and green, purple, orange, and blue, and you could take white, and you mix them all together, and it will turn into pure blackness, because black is the base from which all colors derive from. So this Hiram Abiff, he was the chief architect. Hiram Abiff was a skilled artisan. He was a human being, but he was a symbolic human being representing all of the human beings, the original men on the face of the planet Earth, the first builders of stone. According to the secrets of the Freemasons, the daily rituals, Hiram followed a daily routine of entering the temple's holy sanctum to offer up his prayers and to meditate, which symbolized devotion and discipline. But the conspiracy by the three ruffians, the three fellow craft masons that wanted to learn the master's word, the secret word. See, you notice the Shriners, they have two things. They have the sword and they have the Bengal tiger's claw. But if you look carefully at that sword is bent. It's not a straight sword. It's not a straight S-W-O-R-D, but it's a curved S-W-O-R-D, or it's a curved secret word. What is it curved? It's curved at 180 degrees. And when you look at the claw of the tiger, you see that the tiger's claw is not straight, but it's also curved in the opposite direction. It's curved at what? At exactly 180 degrees. Why? 180 degrees plus 180 degrees equals 360 degrees. When you look at that star, the star has 5 points. The distance between each star is exactly 72 degrees. Why? 5 times 72 equals 360 degrees. The all-red fez has a round circle symbolizing the sun. That round sun is what? 360 degrees. When you look at the holy flag of Islam, you see that our flag is a rectangle or a square, but it has each corner, and 4 corners represents 90 degrees. Why? 4 times 90 degrees equals 360 degrees. We have a crescent moon representing the new Islam, but ancient Turkey has the exact same flag, but they have the old moon representing 180 degrees. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the old Islam will oppose the new Islam in his very first book, The Supreme Wisdom, Volume 1, as well as Volume number 2 in 1957. So the old moon, our Arik Islam, or the old Islam, is 180 degrees for that old crescent. The new crescent that we use in 2024 on the right-hand side of the star, representing Al-Jadi Islam, is the new Islam, is exactly 180 degrees. Why? 4 squares on the flag of Islam representing freedom equals 4 times 90 degrees, or 360 degrees. The two moons, the old moon and the new moon, represents what? 360 degrees, the old and the new. The new Islam will take and transform the old into such a new that the new world will be built totally independent of the old. And that 5-pointed star has 5 points representing 72 degrees between each point of that star. The moon represents the equality and the star represents the justice, and 5 times 72 degrees equals 360 degrees. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in 1972 that the star of Islam represents justice, and he said in the flag of Islam in 1974 that the star is 72 trillion years old. And he said in his last book, Al Says Arab, that we human beings sparked the stars. We said there be a light, until we crowned the universe with the galaxies or the stars. It was nothing but dense thoughts that sparked the atoms that brought forth what we call the stars, or Al-Najm. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches teaches us this, and the Holy Quran teaches us what? We made the stars. Not I made the stars, not he made the stars, not she made the stars, but we made the stars. There was no mystery God that sparked the stars of the sky. So the confrontation was on a particular day. The conspirators stationed themselves at the temple's three main exits. When Hiram attempted to leave the temple, they individually confronted him, demanding to know the secrets. They wanted to know the secret knowledge of God. So we have Jubela, who represents jealousy. He's the one that hit Hiram Abiff with the 24-inch gauze. He's the one that used the 24-inch gauze known as the plum rule in Masonry, and he's the one that hit Hiram Abiff in his throat. Then Jubelo, who represents anger, he's the one that hit Hiram in his chest with the square, symbolizing hitting him in his heart or killing the very love of himself. So here you got Jubela hitting Hiram Abiff in his throat with the ruler, and he could no longer speak the truth. Then you have Jubelo hitting him in his heart, and he could no longer feel the truth. And then you had Jubelo, the arrogant one, the one that came with malice, and he used the maul or the wooden hammer of masonry, and he hit Hiram Abiff in his head, and he killed Hiram. But it took the master's teachings. They tried other stuff. They tried the symbolic lion's paw. When they took and buried Hiram in a shallow grave, they took and came with the lion's paw, and they used the symbolic lion's paw where their fingers was together, and they took hold of that dead man, and they went to pull him up out that grave. But the science is that when they pulled Hiram out the grave, his flesh tore, and they could not pull him up out of the grave, meaning that the lion is a symbol of Europe. It's a symbol of the king and queen of England. The European powers did not have the power to resurrect the so-called Negroes or the so-called African Americans and bring us back to life and bring us back into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of ourselves. So they tried the eagle's claw. America tried it. The civil rights movements tried it. Every president tried it. But the presidents of the United States of America, even though the symbol of America is the eagle, just like the symbol of England is the lion's paw couldn't resurrect black people, and the eagle's claw couldn't represent resurrect the black people. So what did it take? It took the master. It took Master Fard Muhammad that had the master grip, and he's the one that took hold of the so-called Negroes and stood them upright, perpendicular on the cipher, so-called square at 90 degrees, and he taught them that which they knew not what. He taught them that which was hidden for the eons and eons of time. They did not know the reality of God for over 66 trillion years. The 24 scientists hid it amongst themselves. 12 of the scientists did not even know who was the original man. The 12 that knew, they did not share that information with each other. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in Al Sayers Arab in 1974 that these scientists would only pass this information down from son to son. They never gave it to any of the daughters. They never gave it to any of the nephews or cousins. They taught it from son to son. And these scientists lived here on the face of the planet Earth, and none of these scientists lived over 1,000 years physically. But these scientists taught this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding amongst themselves in a cipher. They taught it amongst themselves in secret. They passed these degrees down to 360 degrees, and they hid it in the secret vaults of Mecca. They didn't take and hide the reality of God in the water. They didn't hide the reality of God on top of the mountains. They didn't hide the reality of God inside of the atoms. They hid the reality of God in the brains of black people. They hid the reality of God in the reptilian brain of black people, in the subconsciousness, in the intuition, in the instinct, because they knew that black people's brains or minds had 7 dimensions. It vibrated with the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the soul, the self, and the will. So the confrontation of these devils on the original people and the refusal the refusal and attack. Hiram refused every time they came to him asking for the secret. He refused to give them the secret, so they struck him each time. The first one struck him in the throat. Then the second one struck him in the heart. Then the last one hit him upside his head. And they killed Hiram. And then they hid the body of Hiram. They entered into a conspiracy to destroy black people. They entered into a conspiracy to whitewash black history, to turn our story into his story, into their story. And they took and hid the fact that they knew that when they came to Timbuktu, when they came to ancient Kemet in Black Egypt, when they came to Nubia, the Sudan, when they came to ancient Samaria, they came to Babylon, when they came to ancient Persia or Iran, when they came amongst the original people of Asia, they found that black people were living in peace and that they were human gods and goddesses. They knew that the black people worshiped black gods. When they came amongst brown people, they knew brown people worshiped brown gods. When they went amongst the Chinese, they knew that yellow people worshiped yellow gods. They knew that the Indians believed in human Indian red gods and goddesses. They knew that this was found everywhere on the face of the planet Earth, that we did not believe in a monotheistic spook God. We always believed in one creator of creation, but they didn't understand our spiritual systems, so they misinterpreted, mistranslated, they burnt our libraries, they killed our scholars, and they came up with grafted teachings and came up with organized religions, and they took our original teachings and they put it in their language, and they hid the original meanings by translating and mistranslations and mistransliterations and turning it into what they call the Greek and the Aramaic versions of Eurocentric interpretations. They didn't use the ancient original translations or the ancient original language, because the original man's language was not any physical language. It was not the meta-netta. It was not the hieroglyphics. It was not the Sumerian text. The language of the gods, the language of the original life forms was mental. The language of atom to atom was mental. The 9 forces which balances our equilibrium, attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation, dissimulation, creation, projection, reception, and intuition. Think that over. Listen carefully to those 9 forces: attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation, dissimulation, creation, projection, reception, and intuition. What is the 6th law? The 6th law, I'm going to say it one more time, family. Listen up. Write this down. Attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation, dissimulation, creation. Human beings, life forms had the power to create. Yes, you can take in your brain and you can imagine in your mind that which does not physically exist. And you can take and use your eyes and your ears and your mouth and your nares of your nose and your hands and your feet and the mathematics to bring the mental into the material. That is the power of black people. That is the power that black people pass down to brown people, to yellow people, to red people, to albino people, to white people. This is the power that the Asians pass down to the Caucasians on the face of the planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles. And I wouldn't care if you took a huge brain of a whale, it could not think. It could not outthink the human being. If you took the brain of an elephant, it could not outthink human beings. The brain of a dolphin, the brain of a falcon, the brain of an eagle, the brain of a buzzard cannot outthink the human being. Neither can the atoms. Neither can the sun, moon, and stars. There is no ghost. There is no dead ancestors. There is no wizards or witches. There is no spooky anything anywhere in our universe covering 238 quintillion, 640 quadrillion miles greater than a human being except another human being. And only human beings reproduce human beings. But all of the human beings had an origin in the black human beings out of Africa. Africa is not just 12 million square miles, but the Europeans Britain and the United States of America, they used dynamite and cut a canal over there in Kemet in Egypt in the 1800s, and they made the Suez Canal. In 1914, they made the Panama Canal. And from the human white gods cutting parts of the earth, they separated land masses. And now today we have 7 continents. But just 200 years ago, Africa was not a continent. Africa, the Suez Canal, and Arabia was all one. All of that, Iran and Iraq or Samaria, that's all the Kemetic Empire. Egypt was the whole face of the planet Earth, but we didn't call it Egypt. We didn't call it Kemet. We called it countless names. We called the earth by countless names, family. But as we used the planet Earth and the planet Earth began to drift apart and break up into various different pieces of land, we traveled every part of the ocean, every island, every continent, and we founded all of those lands. So when you go to Australia, you find black folks. When you go to the Philippines, you find black folks. When you find the origin of China, you find black folks. When you find the origin of Britain or Europe, you find black folks. The origin of Germany is from black folks. The origin of Japan, the Nippon, is black folks. The origin of Arabia is black folks. Everywhere on the face of the planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles, was founded by the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the very God of the universe. But we have lost the knowledge of ourselves. And now these little Masons, my son, the Masons, they think that they are the original man. You got all these charlatans, all these snake oil salesmen, all these 10%ers, all these rich slave makers of the poor that got you deceived because they got 1 million views and $1 billion, and they got you thinking that that is the power. No, the power is being in harmony and in tune with Mother Nature and Father God, being one with the universe, knowing yourself, having the richness of yourself. First seek ye the kingdom of heaven and all of his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. This is not organized religion. This is the spiritual common sense that was taught for the past 76 trillion years on the face of the planet Earth, hiding the body. They hid the body of Hiram, Abiff, after they hit that man upside his head. And when they took and destroyed the original man, there was a search. When Hiram's absence was noticed, King Solomon ordered a search. Suleiman ordered a search. And Masons scoured the area until the body was finally discovered. It was discovered here in the wilderness of North America. And the resurrection. Hiram's body was finally exhumed and ceremonially raised using the lion's paw and the eagle's claw and ultimately the master's grip. But it was the master grip. It was the master Fard Muhammad, his knowledge, his wisdom, his understanding, teaching us not just the knowledge of the past, not just the knowledge of the present, but the knowledge of the future, the knowledge of our universe in which we live. He taught us the nature of all things, and he explained to us that God has no religion. Re means to go back to. Ligarian is a word that means to bind, to fasten, to tie down, to restrict, to enslave, to make neutral. God has no religion or organized religion. God only uses spirituality. Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism is all teaching the exact same thing, just in a different way. The Holy Quran teaches us every nation gets a Rasul or messenger. There's messengers for the black people. There's messenger for the brown people. There's messengers for the yellow people. There's messengers for the red people. There's messengers for the albino people. There's even messengers for the white people. There is a messenger for the so-called African Americans here in the wilderness of North America. And that first, last, and only messenger is known as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the first, last, and only messenger of Allah Sakin. Why do you say Sakin, brother minister Alif Allah? I say Sakin because Sakin means in person, Allah in person. I'm not talking about a spook God. If you take your Holy Quran, you take every last one of the 114 surahs, and you get with your best scholars on the face of the planet Earth, and you ask those scholars, you tell me the truth. You give me the haqq. You tell me the reality. You get with all of the scholars, and you tell them, I heard this guy talking about the Holy Quran does not teach about rule of law, that God is a spirit. He claims that the Holy Quran teaches about Huwa Allahi, He the God. It speaks of God as a pronoun, as He and Him and Father. It speaks of God as something and not nothing. There is no rule of law. There is no spirit of God. It's Huwa Allahi. Say He Allah's one. Huwa Allahi. Allah is He upon whom we all depend. And there is none like unto Huwa, He, Him. There is no mystery God. Think about this, family. We're going to look at this legacy. The allegory of Hiram Abiff became the foundational moral spiritual lesson for the day. Freemasonry was emphasizing integrity and perseverance in the quest for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for those that are seeking the knowledge of self. You cannot know others till you first know yourself. But you knowing yourself, you got to understand that the enemy, the devil, is going to try to deceive you. They're going to use technology. They're going to try to make you believe that the good teachers are the bad teachers. They're going to promote the fake teachers. They're going to promote the charlatans. When Moses and Aaron came before Pharaoh and they cast that rod, and that rod turned into a serpent, what did Pharaoh do? He called his magicians more than Moses and Aaron, and they cast that rods and they doubled it up, and they cast that rods, and that rods turned into serpents. And when Moses and Aaron saw that Pharaoh seemed to have the same power they had and even had more power, they seen that Yahweh, or the Most High, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the true and living God, His truth ultimately ate up that falsehood. So we do not need to fear today. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us this message is not for the cowards. So come what may, you may be persecuted, you may be slandered, you may suffer poverty, you may lose your job, you may go to prison, you may suffer hardships and sickness, you may even suffer death, but fear not, because death has no power over the truth. If they take and kill the revolutionary, they cannot kill the revolution. Your very DNA, that dominant thought, that essence, it'll go into the earth, family, and it will germinate the soil. And out of that earth will produce new children, new people that will be more determined and stronger than you. Your thoughts will take and spark the very atoms of our universe, and new ideas will come forward, and better ideas, and better and clearer visions. And our brothers and sisters in the future will pick up the banner and continue to struggle for peace, truth, love, freedom, justice, and equality. Is not the author of confusion. God is the author of peace. So that ambush, when they took the three conspirators, that is, they positioned themselves at the east gate, the south gate, and the west gate. Each planned to confront Hiram Abiff as he exited the holy temple. The confrontation at the first gate, the conspirator came forward and demanded the secrets of the master mason. Hiram firmly refused, reminded him that such knowledge must be earned. The conspirator struck Hiram in his throat, but did not kill him. Then the second one came. That first one was Jubela. Jubela came out of jealousy, and he hit him with that 24-inch gauge, and he hit him in the throat with that gauge, or that rule that's a ruler. The message teaches us that there's 12 inches to the rule because there's 12 inches to the ruler. In ancient Kemet, they used the pharaohs or the god's foot to come up with the ruler. The ruler was symbolic to the pharaoh's physical foot, which represented God's foundation. So that 12 is what we find in the book of Revelations about the 144,000 being the first fruits of the 12 tribes. And that 12 represents foundation because 12 is the root of the 144,000. 4,000, according to Messenger Elijah Muhammad in the Supreme Wisdom, volumes 1 and 2 in 1957. So that second one came and hit him. Jubela came out of anger, and he hit him in the square. In the second attack, he hit him in his heart, or hit him in his chest. Now, I mean, and he injured him further, but Hiram, though injured, he was hurt. They broke his heart, but he was still alive. Now, I mean, this is symbolized inside of the scriptures of the Bible and the Quran in the story of what we call Joseph or Yusuf. They set Joseph up. Joseph knew he was innocent, but Joseph never spoke out. He never complained. He just kept teaching. He taught about God in prison and out. And the persecution and trials and tribulations never stopped him because God blessed him with a coat of many colors, and his brothers became jealous of that. So they wanted to conspire to stop him, to shut him up, to destroy him. So they threw him deep into the hole. They threw him into the well. But God had plans. The Holy Quran teaches us that, yes, Satan plans, but Allah also plans. And Allah is the best of planners. So even in that final blow, at the third gate, the final conspirator came, and he came with the same demand. He wanted to know the secret. He wanted to teach the way that Hiram was teaching, but they couldn't do it. It wasn't for them to do. And again, Hiram refused the third time. And this time, the understanding was made manifest, and the conspirator delivered a fatal blow, killing him instantly. They hit him in the head with the maul, or the wooden hammer. And Hiram, when he died, they didn't just let him die. They tried to hide the evil that they did. But Allah is the best knower. Allah is Rahman ar-Rahim, the beneficent and the merciful. He's the most loving. Allah is full of alimi, full of knowledge, as well as hakimi, wisdom, as well as alifi, understanding. And their interpretation of the messenger's message was not mathematically sound. So the universe itself conspired to stop them and to protect the righteous. So we need not fear. Do not be afraid of the devil's trials and tribulations. Do not fear their arrows and their trials and technologies and tribulations and their persecutions. Do not fear when they nail your hands to the crossroads of truth and falsehood and try to stop your works. Do not fear when they fasten your feet to the crossroads of technology, mixing lies with the truth, because you can no longer travel the Sirat al-Mustaqim or the straight path of Allah. Do not fear when they place a crown of thorns upon the circumference of your brain to try to hinder the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of your thoughts radiating throughout the universe. Do not fear when they pierce your side and your blood and your very water, the very spirit of your wisdom and love come gushing out, and they put you under so much duress that you cry out to that mystery God, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? You will be resurrected. After 300 years of slavery, suffering, and death, the so-called American Negroes was resurrected by the master grip, Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever. He came and resurrected us on July 4th, 1930. He made it Black Independence Day. He took and gave us the flag of Islam representing freedom, justice, and equality. He blessed us with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and gave to us a messenger to help guide us through this age of mess. He gave us the lessons of life and taught us that the restricted laws of Islam was our success. And he gave us countless angels, not spooky angels, but angels in the form of ministers and captains and secretaries, just as the devils had doctors, ministers, and cremators to resurrect hell out of them. Allah gave us angels to produce knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for us in the holy temples of Islam. And he taught us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of ourselves and how to do for ourselves. And he raised Hiram out of the death of ignorance. And this resurrection was not a physical resurrection. It was a spiritual resurrection. It was a resurrection that represents moral legacy and integrity. The story of Hiram Abiff serves as an allegory for integrity, sacrifice, and the pursuit of enlightenment, forming the cornerstone of the Shriners and Masons. All praises are due to Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, and his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We want you to know there is no mystery God. There's no mystery God helping us do this, getting this information out to you. So help us to help our people, to help themselves. We pray Allah in the name of black people, that black people wake up and learn to unite and do for self. Until then, the struggle continues. I leave you as I came with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods. Peace to the goddesses. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you support my ministry so that we can get these teachings out to our people. I'm not coming with inspiration. I'm coming with information. I'm not coming to get you to come follow me. I'm not coming to get you to look up to see God or to look down to see the devil. I'm trying to get you to look in the mirror so you can see that God is your highest self and the devil is nothing but your lowest self. And you find your way through Mayat, or balance, or freedom, justice, and equality. Peace, family. The 85% are willing to worship artificial intelligence over natural intelligence. They are worshipped in the form of a spook and spirit, of a concept. They worship nothing as though it is something. They would rather believe that aliens came from another planet and came to the planet Earth and enslaved black people and taught black people the arts and sciences of the universe, rather than to believe that black people had the natural ability to meet and overcome all obstacles in their path, to struggle and to strive and to learn through trial and error the arts and sciences of the universe and to master the very universe in which they were self-created over 114 trillion years ago. These mystery God teachers are the slave makers of the masses. They care not about you. They care about the wealth and power that they can attain from our enemies, the devils. They want the 10% rich slave makers of the poor to provide them with positions of authority, to give them beautiful costumes. This is a legacy of slavery, suffering, and death. This is a psychological form of tricknology, a mixture of pure tricks with real knowledge. These Googleologists is teaching you tricknology. And slavery, they did the same thing. They would not teach you the arts and science of the Holy Bible. They taught you the slave master's version and interpretation, his translations, his transliteration of the scriptures of God. They taught you the slaves just simply obey your masters. But every now and then, the dominant gene, that dominant thought, that original idea would spark itself. That proton would take and go into the very DNA and RNA of some baby. And it may be Nat Turner or Denmark VZ. It may be the Maroon Society. So every now and then you seeing the original man resurrect himself out of slavery, suffering, and death, the tyranny and imperialism. He feared not for his or her own life, but only that of our people. This is the true Christ, the crusher of wickedness, the Christos. However, the slave master would make examples of such ones. They would use trepidation, intimidation, persecution, tyranny, torture to put the fear of the devil inside of the gods, to make you afraid to even think of listening to the field slave. While these house slaves, as Malcolm X called them, The messenger teaches us in the fall of America in 1973 that the house slaves would sell their soul to the slave masters for a piece of fried chicken and a biscuit with a little butter on it. That thing, as long as they can sell you some nonsense, some bull crap, some tricknology, snake oil, they can take the devil's money out of your pocket and put it in their own pocket and live in a better house. They just want to get up in the attic. They just want to get in the basement of the devil. They do not want to sacrifice themselves for the liberation of the people, though they may claim that they are freedom fighters. They are pretenders and not defenders of freedom, justice, and equality. So you will see such ones rise and fall. But those that are the poor righteous teachers, the 5%, those who do not worship the 10%, do not care about the devil's money, you will see them suffer the slings and arrows of the slave master. The slave master will do everything to stop them, to destroy them. They use counterintelligence program known as COINTELPRO to disrupt, to neutralize, to stop the rise of a black messiah that could unify black people in their consciousness, to remove organized religions from their very minds and make them realize the unity and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of themselves, to see the very God and the very goddess in the mirror. Such teachings the devil hates. So they want to give it to you in stages and degrees. They want you to wait 10 more years, 4 more years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years for your liberation, because the devil knows that that time is up. They knows that the mental resurrection of the so-called African Americans is in the here now. They are aware that you're supposed to be building heaven on earth for yourselves, but your fear, your trepidation, your spookism, your ignorance renders you into a state of subjugation, slavery, suffering, and death. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that you are the symbolic Hiram Abiff. You was hit upside your head, but Allah God, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever. He came from the east to the west in fulfillment of the prophecies to resurrect you from that ignorance, to resurrect you out of the spookism, away from the magic and sorcery of these wizards and witches and these trick. The messenger teaches us on page number 8 of Message to the Black Man in America, the origin of God as a spirit and not a man. Take heed to yourselves that your hearts be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods, worship them. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 16. The American so-called Negroes are gravely deceived by their slave masters' teaching of God and the true religion of God. They do not know that they are deceived and do earnestly believe that they are taught right regardless of how evil the white race may be. Not knowing self or anyone else, they are a prey in the hands of the white race, the world's arch deceivers, the real devils in person. You are made to believe that you worship the true God, but you do not. God is unknown to you in that which the white race teaches you, a mystery God. The great arch deceivers, the white race, were taught by their father, Yaqub, 6,000 years ago, how to teach that God is a spirit, spook, and not a man. And the grafting of his people, the white race, Mr. Yaqub taught his people to contend with us over the reality of God by asking us of the whereabouts of that first one God who created the heavens and the earth. And that, Yaqub said, we cannot do. Well, we all know that there was a God in the beginning that created all these things, and do know that he does not exist today. But we know again that from that God, the person of God continued until today in his people. And today, a supreme one, God, who appeared among us with the same infinite wisdom to bring about a complete change. This is he whom I preach and teach you to believe and obey. The devil calls him a mystery God, but yet claims that he begot a son by Mary. They call on you and me to take this son of Mary for a God, who was a man before and after his death. Yet they deny the coming of God to be a man. If Jesus were a son of God, what about Moses and the other prophets? Were they not his sons since they were his prophets? The belief in a God other than man, a spirit, Allah has taught me goes back into the millions of years, long before Yaqub, the father of the devils, because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. This is the first time that it has ever been revealed, and we, the poor, rejected, and despised people, are blessed to be the first of all the people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. If this people, the white race, would teach you truth which has been revealed to me, they would be hastening their own doom, for they were not created to teach us the truth, but rather to teach us falsehood, just contrary to the truth. It stands true that they are enemies of the truth, by their ever warring against the truth. They know that Islam is the truth. They know that the history of them that God has revealed to me is the truth, but do not like for you to know such truth of them. Therefore, they seek every means to oppose this teaching. They try every one of you that say you believe it and are my followers. They are watching you and me, seeking a chance to do us harm. They are so upset and afraid that they visit you at your homes to question you on your sincerity to Islam. As David says in his Psalms, chapter 37, verse 32, the wicked watches the righteous and seeketh to slay him. Also, Psalms chapter 37, verse 30, the mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. And in another place, Psalms chapter 94, verse 16, who will rise up for me against the workers of iniquity? I have answered him and said, here I am, take me. For the evil done against my people, the so-called Negroes, I will not keep silent until he executes judgment and defends my cause. Fear not my life, for he is well able to defend it. Know that God is a man and not a spook.